Last time we had the club, we drafted a Best Ball Mania team on Best Ball Breakfast. Previously to that, we dove into the Eliminator format. And since then, Underdog has put a couple new contests up in the lobby. So today we are going to dive into the Sprint, which is a fun contest where it's similar to Best Ball Mania. Top 2 of 12 from each of your regular season leagues will advance, except there's no playoff pods. The best scorers across that 3-week sprint, hence the name, will win all of the top prizes. So we'll talk through some of the strategy for that as we rip a sprint draft here on Underdog Fantasy. This is the club with Pete, Clay, and Andy. Let's do it. All right. GMs all around. Andy 8052 and Clay. I'm Pete. This is the club, and God bless Underdog for continuing to give us new conversations or contests, which lead to new conversations. So how are you guys doing? Are you enjoying hot best ball summer here?
Uh-oh. Hot out of the gate, Andy.
My mic is muted.
There you go.
I'm good. No complaints. There was that Top Shot article that came out yesterday that we'll have to at least talk about for a few minutes.
We should.
I politely declined to give a quote in that one. But yeah, I've been doing my strategy right now. And like I said, I've been trying to spend less time drafting. I'm every day entering one slow Eliminator, BBM5, and Sprint. And my plan is to basically do that all summer, and then I'll do some fast drafts to fill in and catch up the rest. But my hope is to basically do 1 to 2 slows a day. I front loaded it a little bit with some extra ones, but yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. I mentioned the format at the top. I do think it makes sense to kind of attack it via slow. Sacrilegious over on Legendary Upside had a really cool article about how this is kind of like the ultimate diversification tournament, where in Best Ball Mania, you're never going to be paired against yourself unless you make it to the finals. You're never going to be in a week 15 or 16 pod. In this, any teams you get will essentially be competing against each other. And in a perfect world, you'd have very differentiated teams, giving yourself multiple paths to first. And he mentioned slow drafts being a way to help manage that, really getting, differentiated based off what you already did, versus if you're ripping a bunch of fast, it can sometimes be hard to juggle that. But Clay, before we get too into the weeds here, how are you doing down there?
I'm good, man. It's called not just a hot best ball summer, it's a sweaty best ball summer. Just hitting the cardio game on the Peloton. So it's been fun. Just feel like I'm starting to catch my flow a little bit, but I think Zach's point in regards to the sprint is well taken, because it is pretty easy, especially if you're ripping drafts back to back, and even if you're trying to diversify, not be too hard on player takes. You kind of just get in the flow of drafting styles, depending on if you're going 0B, hero RB, or whatever it might be. So I'm excited to tackle this one and hopefully push it a little bit and really get creative and think through what's going to work well for these cumulative scoring weeks in 15 through 17.
I will mention, I haven't done the screen share yet, but I did hop in a draft for us. It looks like we need 5 more people to fill this sprint draft. So if you are wanting to draft with us today on stream, you can hop in now. What else was I going to say? I did one of these little cardio club earlier, and I was, I guess I didn't realize that it was going to have different ADP. It's an entirely different contest, but Andy, I don't know, from you doing some of the slow drafts, some of the differences in ADP seem so wild to me in a way that I'm like, the tournament isn't that different from BBM, but some of these ADPs are very different.
I mean, yeah, the Josh Allen ADP doesn't make any sense. It feels like a mistake. It feels like there's a typo somewhere or something.
Yeah. Yeah. So Josh Allen has an ADP of 14.6 in this. And then Lamar's is pretty similar to what his is in BBM.
Mahomes is really high as well. I guess I wonder if there's a bit of a bump towards people who have you're guesstimating high expected totals for all 3 of the playoff games or something. But
okay,
I don't know. I don't really get it. I'm kind of pretty actively ignoring that ADP and using the ADP I have in my head for BBM5.
I mean, maybe I just have small brain on this, but I'm from how I'm thinking about it, different from BBM is I'm still going to be doing so many of the things I do as far as trying to target players and archetypes that can break out in the fantasy playoffs. I still want to be team stacking. And then the only difference is, instead of focusing on, week 16 bringbacks, week 17 bringbacks, I'm going to maybe put a little bit higher emphasis on the teams with the best schedules. 15 through 17, Las Vegas, all their games in a dome, Jacksonville, Tampa Bay, all warm weather games. So instead of like the week 16, 17 tilted to that, but like beyond that, like we're drafted best ball teams here. Like we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, I've been like, just kind of totally random, just trying to stack games of 15, 16, and 17 against quarterbacks or like players. And like giving a nudge to those guys kind of in general. But otherwise, I think like the stuff that Sack wrote about it as far as trying to diversify like larger team stuff because you're playing against yourself in the finals is probably the most interesting thing. But it's a really hard thing to like actually take action on. Like you have to be really, really, really thoughtful with all of your drafts if you really want to do that. And I think there's also like an interesting conversation to be had about like how much you have to reach away from certain players to make your teams unique enough and whether or not that's even worth it. I'm mostly drafting it like BBM5 with less care about week 17.
Well, what's so funny, like the week 17 is all that matters is so many people, miss the forest for the trees that like the week 17 stuff isn't just week 17 games. It's the type of players you're targeting, understanding that the back weighted production is worth so much more than the front stuff. It like that gets missed a lot, but this is a week 17 is all that matters tournament in the spiritual sense of what that means, which is like, we don't care about weeks 1 through 14 near as much as what we care about happens at the end of the season.
Are you guys like finding yourself with a little bit of people say that you're faster on turf, a little bit of extra dome boner for the sprint here?
It's so funny because I ask myself, how am I actually applying this? So it's like, take the Raiders, for example. I mean, like, I haven't been drafting a ton of Devontae. I haven't been drafting a ton of Zamir. I haven't been drafting a ton of Jacoby. I'm not drafting Gardner Minshew. I'm drafting a shit ton of Brock Bowers. Maybe it's like, okay, yeah, I want to build out some more Las Vegas stacks, be a little bit more open to it. But it's like, how big of a shift are you making from what you're already doing for that? I still question that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wonder if like maybe elite tight end is a little bit better in this, or like elite onesies, because you kind of need elite production from the onesies for 3 weeks in a row. You can't like get lucky and sneak past week 15 or week 16 or something in like a smaller pod. I don't know. Like that's like the one thing more structurally that I've been trying to think through is like maybe you do want better, like a higher end potential quarterback and tight end production.
Yeah.
But I've never been one to consider dome games personally.
Yeah. I think one thing that's interesting, I just finished recording my video about elite tight ends, and obviously it's more geared toward Best Ball Mania, but I was looking back through some of the data too, and like the year it was BBM2 when Mark Andrews had 2 monster spike weeks in the playoffs, and then the year Karain won, BBM3, George Kittle had 2 monster spike weeks. Like if they had the sprint format those years, like Mark Andrews and George Kittle would have been on both of the winning teams, like without a shadow of a doubt, just because their ability to separate from the position. Even quarterback, it's a little harder. Like you'd need multiple 40 burgers, I think, from Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts or an elite quarterback during that time to like truly separate. Mm-hmm. Whereas the tight ends, I do think separate just a bit more. All right, I am on the clock here. I said we were talking. I had the 1-2. I selected CeeDee Lamb. It comes all the way back around to me. I will take Jonathan Taylor here. This has definitely been very.
What if we do okay.
Oh, my bad. I forgot we were drafting together, Clay.
Also, by the way, for those who have been doing this more, ETR did just put out ranks for this today.
Oh, nice.
So there are ETR ranks available for all of the new for the marathon and the sprint.
Clay, sorry, what were you gonna float?
No. I'm fine with JT. I don't.
No. I want to know what your
correlation with Saquon week 17.
I wasn't going to float that per se. I wanted to get your take on, like, I feel like Diggs is like all over the map now with people's takes on him. I've been kind of, slightly fading. I feel like I don't know. If we're gonna say Tua flops in week 17, then Achane feels like he's an even better pick in this kind of format almost. It's just I don't know. It gets a little gross to me though on the turn here with some of these guys, and I'm like, I don't love taking them in the late second. So I think JT is perfectly fine. I'm happy with that.
I mean, I definitely think Diggs is the pick here. I guess I'm just very confused on kind of the variation relative to BBM of some of these guys. Clay, are you good with Diggs here?
I'm good with Diggs, yeah. If he makes it through healthy and happy, the two key ages for Stephon Diggs to week 15, then you like his chances for a spike.
I wonder where do we know? It's always the question everyone has of where like the OG ADP originates. Like I'm wondering like where did the original one come from? And then like some of the weird aberrations relative to the other contests, like the Josh Allen one, like was that from an initial ranking that people were anchored to, or did like the market quickly put Josh Allen there?
I have no clue. It is a bit perplexing.
Yeah.
I don't want to get off that point, but I do have a question that's kind of topical right here too, because I see Nez went, Tyreek, Waddle. What are your thoughts on both in BBM and then in a format like this on like kind of mega stacking the Dolphins and going even like Achane there? Because I had a chance to do that in a draft that I shied away from in BBM the other day. But now I'm kind of thinking like in a format like this, if you just want to like bet on the Dolphins putting up a shit ton of points on most weeks, like you're kind of, I know you're making a pretty big team bet, but does that feel better to you in a format like this where you just want to get, high point outcomes and then you're thinking with those three guys, you got a pretty good chance on any given week too? Or is that like you're wasting too much capital on one team here?
I think that makes sense to me. Like you're trying to catch a team that gets hot. I think maybe that idea, we talk about in BBM sometimes like the ping pong theory where, say if you have Jalen Hurts and Barkley, 1 week Barkley scores 2 touchdowns, gets a team through. Then the next week, Jalen Hurts has 2 tushy-pushy touchdowns. And then so you get like the benefits within those pods. I think in that same way, you could capture that offense getting hot over a 3-week sprint, knowing like, hey, 1 week it might be this pass catcher, 1 week. So I don't mind that thought at all.
It could be irrational, but to me, it almost feels better in this format than even like the pod format. But I would love to, someone smarter than myself to tap into some data there and see if that makes sense or not. But I don't know. It's something I'm interested in for sure. And I know people are always talking about the Dolphins with the weather stuff. And so sure, like you don't have to pick the Dolphins per se, but I mean, I think they're the best example of like 3 players going 1, 2, 3 in rounds here.
Yeah. I did load in the ETR rankings because I just want to see like where they are at. Or I thought I did.
It's pretty different from the
it is
from ADP. Yeah.
Oh, wow,
really?
There.
Oh, but like closer to like more BBM or like different?
I don't know. I use Leg Up's BBM rankings, so I'm not familiar with what ETRs are. So I'm not sure off the top of my head. But Clay, as far as the Miami stuff goes, I've done the triple Miami at least once. I think it's fun. Whether or not I have a live slow drafts going right now that has triple Miami Amari Cooper star.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, let's get crazy.
Yeah, I guess just my snap take, and maybe there's an element I'm not thinking through, is I don't really understand why any of the ADPs would be meaningfully different.
Yeah.
I like when we talk about the eliminator, like I understand why the entire board needs to get shuffled around in that structure. Same with even when we do the when you do the marathon, a cumulative contest, I think that meaningfully changes this. I really think it's like almost splitting hairs with some of the correlation stuff for the playoff weeks relative to BBM. I just can't envision why there would need to be other meaningful shifts to ADP. I can't really square that in my head.
Yeah, I'm with you. I do think what Easy said a few minutes ago is like actually probably true, that stacking week 15 and 16 might even be better because muscle memory wise, you know the week 17 stacks. But like unless you're sitting at your computer with the week 15 games like opened up somehow, like odds are you don't know what the week 15 games are.
Yeah. Yeah, but
And then you
yeah,
also get the sweat equity of being high on the leaderboard early
that's
on.
true.
So that's also huge.
I was going to say, like, one of these things of why I want to have a decent amount of eliminators. I want a decent amount of sprints is because, like, the way you can now, like, partition off these sweats, like a weekly sweat with eliminators,
Mhm.
individual BBM pod sweats, and then the full sprint, like the sprint sweat of getting a couple teams through, and just knowing that even if you're in the mix, that you could still charge a subsequent week just seems like a very fun sweat.
I'm excited to get some more weekly winners in too, and I do like that contest.
I haven't done any weekly winners. I feel like for me, the thing with the weekly winners is just like, I think I'd rather take that money and play the weekly contest than the weekly winners format.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It's purely a sweat equity like play for me. Pete, you want to try to double tap?
You want to try to do the Lamar Andrews?
I like it for this format. You know, if you don't want to go, I think so. Let's do it. Because like if we want some high upside, like that's kind of the play, right?
I think we'll be able to get it whichever direction we go. I kind of lean toward taking Andrews first.
I agree. Just because I think we prioritize elite tight end. Like if we get, Crash Rich decides to dog us here with Lamar, so be it.
Yeah.
I think Pat's been driving that point home on some of y'all's streams where I've really come around to like what do you feel better about having Lamar without Andrews or Andrews without Lamar? And that was poetic.
Yeah, and we do have the ADP has Mahomes, so he goes McLaurin. I think we should be fine here. I don't know Crash Rich was in my sprint draft that I did earlier. He did. He did it.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. What do you want to do here? You want to push quarterback, or do you want to?
To me, I think we push quarterback, unless you want to do the Stroud thing. Like Houston has a really good playoff schedule. Like I'm down to do that if you just want to get Stroud here. He's not coming back, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was Stroud or Pacheco for me. Your pick, so we go Stroud. Yeah. Let's do it.
The Houston schedule is pretty hot as far as this. So home versus Miami, then you get a potential shootout in KC, and then home versus Baltimore.
Yeah. I mean, cool. We correlated week 17, so shout out.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Both are fine. I think I came around on Andrews first.
I'll read Clay and I's team, and then Andy can read his after he makes his 5th round pick. We have CeeDee Lamb, Jonathan Taylor, Stephon Diggs, Mark Andrews, CJ Stroud. So we hopped in a sprint draft to set up the week 17 stack with CJ Stroud, Diggs, and Mark Andrews. Andy, you get a pretty nice scoop on a couple of ADP fallers at running back, ETN Jacobs, and then Jamar Chase, Mike Evans, DK Metcalf.
Yeah, well, so the weird thing is Jacobs' ADP in this is 48, which doesn't make any sense. No. So it's an ADP value versus BBM5, but not in this. But yeah, I've actually been seeing ETN drop a lot lately. I drafted him at 53 in a BBM slow yesterday. He's someone who I've seen kind of dropping down boards a little bit, anecdotally.
Yeah.
I don't think you could pay me to take Josh Jacobs at pick 45. But
pay you $50? Free roll the entry just to select Josh Jacobs at ADP? Fine. Sorry, Clay. Had to stick it to you.
That's posturing. Yeah, I guess it would have been good to realize Crash Rich had taken Laporta there, so he probably wasn't taking Andrews. We could have probably played it a little differently, but
yeah,
whatever, man. We got Stroud Diggs.
Yeah, I'm
trying. I like what Dark did too, flipping the board with Nico and Tank on that side. It's kind of a fun start, a little wacky.
I wonder if he thought we wouldn't take. Well, he's probably not thinking that far ahead, but maybe thinking we wouldn't take Stroud, and then there is the chance. Maybe he was just. What if he's setting up the nuclear tilt? What if he goes Tommy Hudson, Demirne Pearsonell after we took CJ Stroud?
Please no.
Yeah, we're trying to get this thing filled. We can't rug this draft.
Oh, Andy, so I do have to circle back to the Top Shot article thing. If you guys didn't know what Andy's referencing, there was an article that Rovell wrote. MBL, Jack Settleman were both quoted in it. Did Rovell reach out to you, or was it like someone in the article said he was looking for more people to talk
No, Mike reached out to me and said,
Okay.
"Hey, Rovell's doing this thing. Do you want to give a quote?" And I was like, "No, I think I'm all right."
Yeah.
But yeah, it was around they like settled like a legal dispute that's been going on for forever, that Top Shot moments are securities, which is stupid in and of itself. But and so I think it, like, the article came out because of that, and kind of around the past of Top Shot and the future and what's going on. It didn't really have a lot to say, but
Yeah. The highlights for me were Jack calling Bored Apes monkeys in there, and like Rovell not even putting in parentheses like that he meant like Bored Apes for the actual name.
yeah, just monkeys.
And then MBL just taking a shot at the DFS bros for only being into Top Shot for the quick cash grab. I was like, wow, DFS players catching some strays, MBL.
There's some gold in there. It was funny because when I was reading through it first to send in the chat, I was like, there's like 3 different parts where I was just like, yeah, screenshot. Like,
I had multiple screenshots.
So good.
All right, Andy is about to pick here in the 6th round. And so by ADP, let's see here. We got a couple of the rookie wide receivers here. I think Crash Rich is drafting off of ETR ranks. I've now noticed that. So he is probably going to scoop up some of these running back values. Rashad White and Kenneth Walker here. Tampa does have a nice schedule. Kenneth Walker, I guess, would be my preferred guy. We're definitely not doing.
Yeah, I prefer Kenneth Walker over Rashad White.
Let's do Walker and a receiver. I'm fine with one of these rookies, Ladd or Keon, at this price. Do you have
see what Crash does?
We'll see what he does here.
What are the receivers are a little bit out of the screen here?
The wide receivers, yeah.
Jameson Williams, Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, that's
Rashee Rice.
Yeah, I think we have to take a wide receiver with one of these.
Yeah, we do. No, we do. Yeah.
Yeah, so he goes a lot.
White at pick 73 is pretty nice.
Yeah. You like Keon here? I think it's.
I mean, I don't like it without Allen so much, but it's like I don't really want to take Watson or Deontay or Rashi. I mean, I guess Rashi would be the maybe the pick because of they play Kansas City later in the season when he'd be back from suspension, but we have to survive. Obviously, Houston does in Week 16.
Yeah,
go Keon though. It's getting a little.
Yeah, let's grab we grab Keon here. I haven't been getting hardly any of him in BBM. But here, because like what happens in BBM is he like goes before Jordan Addison. He'll go before Rome a decent bit. Brian Thomas. And in this was again, like I don't understand why his ADP would be so different in this compared to BBM. We're still getting like the benefits of the rookie breakout down the stretch, even if he's a slow starter.
Yeah, he might get clamped by Sauce Gardner in Week 17 if he's actually the wide receiver 1 on the Bills. But
but that's why
I've only been taking
him for 30 in Week 15 and 16.
That's all that matters. Yeah, get us there.
Yeah,
and then Diggs is bringing it home. I've only been taking him with Allen, but that's pretty rare, and I'm not forcing that at all either.
Yeah,
kind of indifferent in this range.
Yeah, it's just so funny to me. Like, I promise I'll stop beating this dead horse, but it's like the whole thing, like the Ladd and Keon picks, like the reason they are so elevated here relative to kind of like what their prospect profiles were and stuff is because of the landing spot. But it's like, that isn't any different in this format. And the whole reason you get excited about these guys is that hopefully by the end of the season, they're like alphas, completely coming to their own, getting a ton more opportunities. The offense is running through them. Again, no different than how that would benefit you in BBM.
This room feels definitely more gross than the BBM rooms. Nez makes a good point with a theory for why Josh might be up.
Just to confirm GTO, because it's total for regular season and not pods. It's regular season pods. It's just like any of these. It's 2 of 12 advance. So the dynamics for regular season in the sprint in Best Ball Mania are the exact same. The only difference is no 15, 16, 17 pods. It's one giant pod, 15 through 17 cumulative scoring. Andy, you went ahead and got Joe Burrow stacked up with Chase.
You got a nice little week 15 stack with Tennessee going on. So,
oh, okay.
Attaboy.
Someone was screaming at me on Best Ball Breakfast the other day for not taking Burrow at ADP with Chase. And I just tend to like to push it with him just because he will fall, like 50% of the time you can like get him in the 8th, but then it sucks if you miss out.
Yeah.
Burrow. Oh, go ahead, Andy.
No, I most of the time I'm not taking Burrow there. Especially because like a lot of the time, if I'm explicitly stacking like a week 17, like sure I'll take Bo Nix in the last round and do like a 3 QB thing or something like that. But felt like getting crazy.
Yeah.
We're officially back with like off-season media video clips and training reports. I don't know if you saw like evidently Burrow like missed practice today and everyone was like freaking out, and it just turns out that like Zach Taylor forgot what day media were coming, so they gave him his off day on the wrong day.
I missed that.
Poetic.
The one I saw today was something like Jordan Love and Dontavian Wicks like missed on some pass, and then he connected with someone else, and so now it's just Jover for Dontavian Wicks.
With Davis's guy. What's his name?
Is it Bo Melton? Was it?
Yeah. It was Bo
Melton. Well, Dontavian Wicks is everyone's guy. He is the industrial complex's darling. Everyone came together. We all argue and battle and think we're idiots until it comes to Dontavian Wicks, in which case everyone collectively agrees.
I mean, he got some great coach speak the other day. And then Pop Douglas was getting a lot of positive reports today, evidently catching touchdowns from all 3 QBs. So he's got to pop up the draft boards.
All right. Clay, looking at this setup here, I think one of these 2 picks, I feel like we're still probably going to need to take a wide receiver, even though we're not really in the sweet spot for it.
Yeah. You have a name you want to float?
Well, man, and again, another weird one, like Dobbs is up higher than like Curtis Samuel and these guys. I think I would probably be Tyler Lockett for a 4th wide receiver on this build.
You can convince me that. I would float Curtis just because I'm way into him over Khalil, and then it's kind of like a Buffalo bet we're making without Josh Allen, which I don't hate. I'm bullish on Curtis with Joe Brady again getting used kind of uniquely, whereas Lockett scares me. If we're thinking that Jason makes a leap this year.
Yeah, I don't think they're that different of bets. So yeah, I don't. You sold me on. We already have Keon. Josh Allen's cost is like prohibitive in this format anyway, so it's like let's just build out the stack without him.
Why not? And then you feeling RB here structurally, or you want to go wide receiver again, even though it's a little gross?
I have one guy here if we did want to go running back. Otherwise, man, yeah, this is gross. You know, I hate spending the second pick, but because this is such a dead range and we're already good at running back, I honestly am fine going with Dak and then just shutting it down at quarterback.
Yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it. I like that actually. I mean, I'm into the idea that we want to get the onesies really popping.
Yeah.
Is Spears really that far different rank than Pollard in this room with ADP? Because it was like I saw Pollard up there, and then Spears wasn't even on the screen.
Spears has an ADP of 121 and Pollard is an ADP of 97. Wow. Yeah.
It's a lot different too.
One other,
I like the Dak pick. That feels good.
Yeah, it was like, man, not the other guy I was going to float was like Trey Benson. You know, if we're going to grab a third running back there, let's get some pretty big upside. I don't think we need any bankable touches when we have JT and Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, we're hoping, you know, Kenneth just stays healthy and gets the workload there. See, Andy went Njoku.
Yeah, so now I have Burrow and Chase stacked for all 3 games. Or actually, no, not yet.
There you go.
Out of the 3.
Yeah, Clay, let's look at some of our other, now that we have our 2 main stacks with Houston. So Miami and KC would be the other stuff with Houston. And then with Dallas, Carolina, and Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Log those away.
There's unfortunately like a lot of Houston and Miami. Sorry, yeah, have already been dried out.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm always down for a Jalen Wright pick. So
yeah.
See what this room gives us. Let's see. Let's look at some of these other teams on here too. What's Nez and Easy working with?
Yeah, so Easy was mentioning he didn't love the Bijan build as opposed to Brown Puka, because then you do get Kyron in the 3rd, but recovered at wide receiver, Devontae, Amari, Keenan, Brian Thomas, Rashee Rice, and then Warren and Brock Bowers is a nice team. Nez over here, Tyreek, Waddle, Barkley in the 3rd, Pickens has to get his Pittsburgh quota there, Anthony Richardson, JSN, Fergie, Mike Williams, 80 Mitchell. Man, 80 Mitchell at 99. What is this, the big board, Nez? 80 Mitchell at 99?
Believe in
Nez, I want to know how many drafts you've left without one Steeler on the roster.
It can't be many, man. Even every time Nez posts a Cardio Club draft, there's Najee or Warren on it.
Yeah. I took my first Pickens share correlated with Justin Fields yesterday on a cardio team.
How'd that feel? You feel alive?
It felt fine. I went 3 QB for the first time, and my first one was Richardson. So I don't know how I felt about it, but I just got in this like really weird pocket of it where I was like, I didn't like any of the running back picks. I didn't like any of the wide receiver pick. Yeah, there you go, Nez. You know the brand. So I was like, you know, fuck it. We tacked on Fields there, the 18. So. I'm into send that team through because I stopped at 7 wide receivers, which, you know, gave myself a little pat on the back for after hammering them hard at the beginning.
Let's see here. So yeah, we're gonna be in the 10th. Coming up here by ADP, it is all running backs and quarterbacks. We're obviously done with quarterback. I do think Clay, so looking at ADP, we should probably have like the Schultz combo. We don't need to do it with this first pick, but
no, I got a player for this first pick. I'll pound the table for.
Is it a wide receiver?
And it's not.
Oh, okay. I really think we might need a wide receiver with one of these 2 picks.
Yeah. Well, then, all right, we can do that too. Let's hit Wicks or Downs.
Yeah. I'm good with either of those. I'm trying to think. Do we have any? We have Seattle with Wicks. Yeah. I mean, honestly, we could justify both of them, but I just feel like with Stroud,
Downs is correlated with Taylor, but not necessarily in the right way.
This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab a Schultz first, just so we had an extra second, because I think we wanted to walk away with this with Schultz. He's not coming back around to pick.
We got double buy on tight end. I also don't hate Brevin Jordan.
Oh, fuck. Double buy a tight end. We're back. I guess I'm not a bye week bro anymore.
It's all good. Sit Wicks though, because Crasher 6
Wicks.
downs.
Yeah. Whatever. We can grab Johnny Smith and get 3 points from him in week 14. And it'll make everything okay.
Yeah, Gobbler. Also, you got CD, so Dak's not unstacked. There, he's got the alpha stack.
Yeah, I was wondering if Brandon Cooks would make it back. I mean, his ADP is 132, and he went at 115. Not that I've ever been disappointed to get sniped on him.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I'm fine, honestly, with just like, I think if you have Dak and CD, it's like they're not a team where I'm so intrigued by the ancillary pieces. Like, I kind of think that you're hoping that CD just goes hard in the paint and just all goes through him, or maybe Ferguson. I would definitely consider Ferguson, but I think it's pretty condensed there. So I'm not as keen, honestly, I'm drafting more of the ancillary Cowboys pieces if I'm trying to correlate without Dak and CD, because I'm kind of trying to bet against CD popping in that case.
That's why, like, I kind of said this in the correlation video I made on the Deposit Kingdom, but like with those guys at the top, CeeDee Lamb's a perfect example. Justin Jefferson, a perfect example. It's like those guys are ballers. They can drop 30 points in any environment. You know, their quarterback could have a so-so game. They drop 30. Right. Like the game could kind of dud. There's only, you know, their team only scored 17 points. They can drop 30 in that environment. Yeah. Like those guys, I want to almost like push the correlation, be like, can you give me the guy cheap? Whereas on the flip side, it's like, all right, I don't normally take Dalton Schultz, but it's like we spent a 5th round pick on CJ Stroud. He's not going to rush a ton. Want to have that guy double stack. Like we need one of these weeks, these playoff weeks where Dalton Schultz scores 2 touchdowns. Like we need that on this team to win the sprint. So like, that's when I really want to think about correlation.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I assume we just want to punt. I mean, we're going to have to take a 3rd tight end because of, we're going to want to make it out of our pod. So I assume that's going to be like a 17th, 18th round pick versus spending more capital on like a correlated piece. But I guess we could see if we have any kind of insane value happen.
Did you guys see Underdog has pick 8s for the NBA Finals?
I did. I'm actually curious what the chat's thoughts are. I don't like the insurance pick'ems. So for the pick 8, it's forced insurance. For 6, 7, and 8. So you get paid out 25x if you hit a 6-way, like 40x if you hit a 7, and 80 if you hit a 8. Which is about, it's around half what the like Vegas payout would be for that many legs of a parlay. Personally, I'm much more a fan of the let's believe in something. And if I'm putting together 8 picks, I want to try to hit all 8 picks for like the totally ludicrous payout. But I mean, I'm definitely going to play some.
I guess if you want to believe in something, it's you go the Scorchers and you get up to a 325x. I think is how you get to the 325x.
Yeah.
I think that's the move. I tailed our good friend Casey Settleman on a pick 8, so we'll see if that plays out. Some baseball.
Yeah, that's something you don't do. That's nightmare fuel. Tailing a settlement.
Casey's a sharp one though. Casey puts out winners on his Twitter. So Jackie Packs, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not blind tailing boy Settlement there, but
I have no idea who I want to draft here.
Man, Brock at 140 is nice. Clay, I definitely think Rico on this team makes some sense.
Yeah.
And then maybe we got to grab a wide receiver again.
Yeah. I am starting to get a little bit more comfortable with some of these like later wide receivers though. But yeah, let's hit Rico here.
Yeah, Rico gives us that 3rd Cowboy. Yeah, and I do agree that it kind of swung back a little bit. Wide receivers here. We're in this kind of the rookie sweet spot.
Yeah. Who? Yeah. How do you, I mean, I don't have any Jermaine Burton. Are you high on him
I like him. Yeah.
at all? He's not
I feel like I'm
anything, but
close on
man,
Roman Wilson and Burton, but I'm happy to do Burton here.
I mean, I don't have a strong feeling one way or the other. Neither. Roman is correlated with Baltimore week 16. If you want to push it that way.
Yeah,
real quick.
let's do that.
Tiebreaker. Sneak that in real quick.
Yeah. All right. So here's our team so far, Clay. A 2-3-6-2. We got Stroud and Dak at quarterback. We still got the 3 running backs: JT, Kenneth Walker, and Rico Dowdle, the starting running backs for 3 teams. Don't fact check that. Wide receivers: CeeDee Lamb, Stephon Diggs, Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, Dontavian Wicks, and Roman Wilson. Dontavian Wicks, just to keep all of the peanut gallery off our back. Oh, they got Dontavian Wicks. Can't be that bad. And then tight end Mark Andrews and Dalton Schultz.
Oh man, we're good. We're gonna salvage this.
Yeah, I think we're fine. We're fine.
I do too. I mean, Buffalo's got to score some points, right? I think the only thing that scares me a little bit is like, which of our running backs make it to week 15?
Yeah.
I think what Gobbler is saying is really interesting, actually, for a last round punt. But
the Deuce Vaughn, that because
Yeah.
of the reports that they're using him as a receiver.
Sounds cute.
Yeah.
It's hard to know with that. Is it just like, hey, either we cut him or maybe he's a receiver, let's try it out, or like, which probably is really what it is that like he very clearly is the RB3, and so they're like, let's try this out and see how it is.
Yeah.
Which probably means you just don't want him on your team at all. But
yeah, I don't know. I mean, if there's like silly stuff happens in camp in May, it's like,
I do wonder if players like that, like if we are going to try to like get into the real nitty gritty about differences between the sprint versus say like a pod, or say you got the random Deuce Vaughn week, where you got like 2 gimmicky touchdowns or something and it helps you win a pod, but then he could be just like a stone zero the next couple weeks. But I guess if the spike is good enough that 1 week hitting your lineup or whatever, then that is still valuable. But I wonder if like the super extreme boom bust guys maybe take a slight hit, where it's like those guys can be pod winners, but it gets smoothed out over 3 weeks.
I guess my like response to that would be like, we've seen some pretty lackluster scores to the starting lineup in the BBM finals, where it's not the same, obviously, but if we're, what is going to count to get you over the top of the leaderboard there, what it is. How many people are in the sprint actually aspect? Like how many entrants?
Let's see.
That's a great question. The finals, 3,700 people. I know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, obviously much different than what the 500 and 600 person final in BBM, but
and again,
we saw some 12s hit the winning lineup. So like Deuce Vaughn, 2 touchdowns, man. You're probably streaking at that point.
And this is still like, I mean, this is extremely top heavy, right? Like you can finish almost 50th percentile in the sprint, make it to the sprint, have like a decent team, like an okay team, and you get your money back. Yeah.
It's brutal.
So
that's gross. That's almost as gross as this draft room.
Yeah. I see lots of enthusiasm in the chat for super flex drafts. We could maybe do a super flex draft next week if there's enough interest. I don't know when the puppy is going to fill.
Yeah, that's one that I probably won't be doing that much of personally.
Yeah.
But it seems fun. I'll probably do a couple when I'm like just bored.
Yeah.
But like, I think the $5 entry ones in general, when they're 150 max or, like the really high max small price point ones are just not what I'm
Bucky.
targeting right now personally to play as well. Like I thought the hound is like $6,
Clay?
3 entry max.
Take your
Sorry,
boy.
go ahead. Do
You
your
take
pick.
Bucky. Correlates week 16 with
Yeah. Sorry, Andy.
Dallas. Yes, sorry, Andy.
The hound dog. Yeah, I even slow max that, and I'm trying not to do basically any slows, but I was not going to miss out on my hound dogs.
Yeah, I think like the smaller max entry, small price point ones are more interesting to me than the, hey, do you want to throw a lot of time and energy into this thing that like is not going to even have that much money at risk?
Yeah.
But I think it just depends on what type of player you are and how much you want to be playing in general.
Clay, I kind of like Mims here.
I'm fine with that. Is Fryermuth off the board at tight end? Because he'd be the only one I would consider wasting more capital on. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, he's off the board. Yeah, let's go Mims.
I'm
You're gonna
also
make me
laughing
draft
at this
Troy Franklin
ETR rank. So they have Mims like right at ADP in their rank, and then they have Troy Franklin at 210.
They have him behind Josh Reynolds.
That's savage. I don't know if I can sign off on that in my sprint rankings.
Yeah, I feel like these ETR rankings are really aggressive. There's like some pretty
Leone's board.
Intense adjustments.
If I ran a content site and I did rankings, I would copy and paste my BBM rankings in the format that they needed to be uploaded for the sprint and go have a cocktail with the rest of my afternoon.
Chip, there's nothing wrong with spreading a little misinformation. I think that's a good thing.
People kind of
say 6'5".
Yeah, he's had a massive growth spurt during the off
What
season.
fun it is to watch content if all of your narrators are reliable.
Andy, what flavor is Spindrift you sipping on?
It is a blood orange tangerine.
Ooh.
My favorite is the there's like a mango orange or something like that. That one's my favorite right now.
I've been trying some of these like newer flavors. I'm drinking a grape aid right now, which is surprisingly very good. And the Nojito is fire.
I haven't had that.
Whoa,
very good.
What is that?
It's pretty decent too. Mojito.
Does it have spice to it?
No, it's just like their a virgin mojito, I guess is the
okay.
But yeah, lime and mint flavor, very very tasty.
Yeah, I've become a really big Spindrift fan.
Dude, I
really
this is
good.
kind of crazy. I had my first Spindrift a couple weeks ago. Generally because I'm like, do I really need like the extra 15 calories if I'm having a seltzer? It's like whatever. And I was like, this fresh pineapple juice in here is really fucking good. It's actually worth it.
It's so much better.
It's worth it.
Like it's kind of crazy.
If you really want to get into like the micro weeds with it, like the bubblies and stuff, you don't know what the fuck those like artificial / natural flavors are. With Spindrift, 15 calories, you're getting some fruit juice out here. So
yeah,
I'll take it.
No, it was good. I had it for the first time, and then I had two like back to back. I just like was treating them like they were Coors Lights. So I was like, all right, I got to go throw down another pineapple Spindrift.
Well, they're great mixers, or they're also great to mix in if you're trying to be more responsible with your day drinking. So
yeah, I didn't even think of that. What do you just do like gin or anything?
Depends, man. Gin's a great one with a lot of different Spindrifts, but I'd probably do a little rum with the Nojito and actually lean into that more. And I've
done some Tito's with the pineapple one. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Ooh. I've been in a little gin and tonic phase right now. Like when we're down at the beach, like for some reason, like that's the drink I crave the most after like swimming in the ocean. Like a gin and tonic just hits so hard.
I've been getting into dirty martinis recently, which has been a new foray for your boy. But
you guys are always cooking up good stuff, Clay. When I see your Instagram stories, you guys are always eating well.
It's fun, man. It's like one thing we enjoy doing a little bit is especially with the grill now that I did not have access to before.
I've been grilling like crazy. I've been grilling like 5 or 6 nights a week. It's a lot of fun.
The price of meat down here is a lot cheaper than it was back in Brooklyn. So you get some good deals on the ribeyes and skirt steaks and stuff.
What was your tweet the other day, Andy? Did you say something about like someone called a noise complaint on you for like you were grilling on your roof? What, it was something like that? Am I making this up?
I don't think anyone called a noise complaint on us.
Or I thought I saw a tweet. I don't know. Now I feel like I'm losing it. I thought you said like someone was like getting
Oh
on you
no.
for
So
something you were doing.
I know what you're talking about. Our neighbor is really fucking annoying. But also we like just did a bunch of work on our roof and like got a bunch of furniture and shit, and we were trying to basically like, put up like a shade sail situation over our dining table. And it was, I mean, admittedly, it was not the most structurally sound thing ever, and we took it down. But he texted us
Hyatt
and was like,
for week 17. Sorry, Andy.
go ahead.
Correlates with JT.
I got you.
All right, back to you.
He
Andy.
texted
Sorry.
us and was like, as an engineer, like, I'm really worried about this, whatever. And the guy's a fucking sound engineer.
Oh yeah, that show's funny.
yeah.
Like,
That's what it was. Yeah.
It's not the type of engineer that would have a degree to know whether or not like the lever arm of this thing is too dangerous.
It's like some guys like I really concerned about those moles on your skin. And he's like, I'm a doctor of science at the university. It's like, well, I don't
Literally.
Yeah.
Is there any tight ends that we should consider here before next round to save us, or no? Not really. Jonnu? No.
I had joked about Jadu's 4 points, and now I feel like we just fucking do it.
Whatever. I mean, Mike McDaniels, yak god out here.
It's definitely a thin running back build, but
yeah, you don't say. I think this next pick is a running back, my guy.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely is. All right. So I was going to float Javon Baker, and then Nez had to snipe him from us. Andy, how much? I feel like every time we've done a draft, you've taken Antonio Gibson, Andy. Is that true?
It's funny because I really don't feel like I actually draft him that often. But as you say that, I think you might be right that I have taken him a lot.
Do you take Ramondre ever?
Very rarely. I think like I also did not mean to draft Gesicki there. I meant to take Tyler Boyd, but oops, got distracted. I like end up getting sidetracked early on in a lot of drafts with Anthony Richardson and elite tight ends, and find myself like in that like the earlier stages of that big running back group, picking a wide receiver to play catch up a little bit. And so I don't really find myself getting super like just find myself in positions to draft him. I do like him this year, but just kind of like structurally when I get to the mid to late 70s, I'm just feel way more comfortable drafting a wide receiver than I do running back.
Yeah, I think it's hard just for that entire pocket. I would toss in Zamir White, basically like the first tier of that long range of 0 RB targets. Even David Montgomery a little bit, where it's like, yeah, I like those guys, but it's hard when I don't view them that differently than the other running backs going like 25 picks, 30 picks after them.
Yeah, definitely. That's like kind of exactly where I am. Even like Zach Moss, I haven't been getting as much of and stuff. But I have noticed recently, it's just funny how rooms change and the way that people draft change. But like lately, I've been having a lot more drafts where I end up with like 5 or 6 wide receivers in my first 7 picks. And then I'm much more comfortable. Like I've been drafting more Jonathan Brooks now as his ADP has been rising, just because like based on how the first bits of the draft are falling out, I have the flexibility to draft a running back there.
Yeah. Honestly, like
we actually did take a running back with Jonnu.
If you're on top of news, like, being a little steam chaser with the ADP is like generally smart, because there's almost always those guys go higher or lower, in whatever direction they're going. Like, if you think you've missed the boat on Dentavian Wicks, he's probably going to end up going another 10 picks higher, like over the course of the month, like once the train gets rolling. Unless he keeps dropping balls from Jordan Love in training camp, in which case he'll be undraftable.
As we come to the end of this draft, I'm not super enthused with my wide receivers.
Old QJ.
All right, Clay, you going to come up with a Galbrain correlation at running back for us?
I don't know what I got.
Honestly, dude, CEH Chief versus Houston and Pitt. I think that's it, dude.
All right. Let's run it back.
Did we take him last time?
No, I just.
Oh, just bring it back.
running back. There's something. I'm cool with that. Yeah, I mean, they're all kind of pretty similar at this point.
Isn't there? I mean, I know the ADPs are weird, but I have a hard time passing up on a guy who's 50 picks past ADP as well.
J.K. Dobbins. Yeah, I'm open. I don't take Dobbins a lot. I think that's a good shout. Clay, I'll let you decide. CH or Dobbins.
I know Keaton's like not coming back for a while, but he also does correlate well with our Houston and Baltimore stack. If we want to just play for Week 17, so let's go. Let's go.
Dobbins is on the Chargers.
Yeah, he's on the Chargers. We're gonna take it, but he's not.
No, I'm talking about Keaton Mitchell, not Dobbins.
Andy was talking about Dobbins because he's,
which is fine.
Yeah.
I know. I was saying, considering that we're last pick of the draft, we're not going to wait on Keaton Mitchell to drop further than second to last pick in a draft, and he could play with our Week 17 stack. I don't mind Dobbins. Like, I do think he's got to give a chance to anyone to win over that backfield at some point this year. So
I don't think I've
be fresh in Week 15 yet,
but it's just like in the last round of the draft.
Yeah,
the ADP.
I'm glad you mentioned it. All right.
Does anyone feel good about their team in this draft pod?
All right, this is Clay and I's team. CJ Stroud and Dak Prescott at quarterback. CJ Stroud's double stacked with Stephon Diggs and Schultz. And then we have Dak Prescott with Rico Dowdle and CeeDee Lamb. Our running backs, Jonathan Taylor, Kenneth Walker, Dowdle, Bucky Irving, and J.K. Dobbins. The other wide receivers, along with Lamb and Diggs, Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, Dontavian Wicks, Roman Wilson, Marvin Mims, and Jalen Hyatt. And then we got funneled to a 3 tight end build, Mark Andrews, Dalton Schultz, because we are bye week bros, and we need those 3.5 points from Jonnu Smith in week 14. Andy, give us the rundown of your team here.
Yeah, I have Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert at quarterback, and then Josh Jacobs, ETN, and DeAndre Swift, Chase Brown, Antonio Gibson, and Jaleel McLaughlin. Probably could have honestly gone 5 running backs here, but I wanted to get a Denver piece for a couple late game correlations, and he felt better than Troy Franklin. And then Jamar Chase, Mike Evans, DK Metcalf, DeAndre Hopkins, Josh Palmer, Quentin Johnston, and Greg Dortch at wide receiver. And then Njoku, Noah Fant, and Mike Gesicki at tight end. I have a lot of 15, 16, and 17 correlations in this team, which I have been pretty intentionally trying to do. So I have like a player who plays Cincy every week, 2 weeks for the Chargers, and then like a bunch of other random ones too.
Nice.
I like that a lot, Andy.
Yeah, I think when I hop in some slows, then I'll be excited to spend a little bit more time on thinking through the specific correlation angles here. The Better Life. Why don't you guys like Troy Franklin? I do like Troy Franklin. I was talking that the ETR ranks do not like Troy Franklin. Like, I think the probabilities of either Mims or Franklin hitting this year, I guess I would say I think are pretty similar. Whereas I don't know if I could just, put one buried in the ranks relative to the other. I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. I really like Jaleel McLaughlin. I've drafted him a lot. He's probably my highest owned running back.
I think the Patriots, the Broncos, there's so much ambiguity and then upside with, so many new variables, specifically at quarterback, that I want to be taking stabs on those offenses. Zach Wilson, first team reps. Yeah, I know Denver is threatening a quarterback competition. And if there's one person who would indulge it, it would certainly be Sean Payton.
I don't know. I saw a tweet that was like Zach Wilson looked awful today with his reps.
Hard to believe.
Yeah, shocking. I know. We'll see how much longer he gets those first team reps. Denver's a weird team, and it is so hard to get a read on anything. Like there's no Denver player I feel very comfortable picking. Even Jaleel, I would say, is probably the best, but I mean, he could still like not make the team. I mean, that feels a little
Jaleel's not getting cut, but yeah, his role isn't necessarily.
I mean, how many running backs do you think they're going to keep? 4?
Yeah, I think something will happen with P. Ryan.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I would take Jaleel over P. Ryan personally, but
yeah,
I don't know. I'm not Sean Payton in the Broncos.
Andy, I'd seen a comment at the top of the show. Someone said they were surprised you were able to pull away from answering questions in the IKB Discord. Have you been living in there answering support questions?
Yeah, it's not too bad, but it's funny because you get we have the people who very clearly understand sports who are playing and the people who don't, who are just like from crypto and doing it and having to explain over and over to them how pick'ems work is really quite an effort in practicing patience. But yeah, no, it's been pretty good. We're seeing we're right now basically MLB only because there's not very much else going on. But I don't know a thing. I couldn't even name 5 baseball players, but people seem to like it.
Do you find if you answer the same question over and over again, are you just like, screw it, I'll just add this to an FAQ and then just start?
I mean, you would think that would get it done, but it doesn't.
So
then you just like sarcastically say, hey, did you check the FAQ? And they go, yeah. And you go, all right, well, I guess I'll explain it to you again because the FAQ couldn't do it for you. There's also a guy who he's having trouble resetting his password right now. And he only speaks Chinese, and so I'm emailing back and forth with him in Chinese using Google Translate to try to help him reset his password.
How did he find IKB? Do you know?
I have no idea. I mean, he must just be like a crypto guy who's trying to farm like some blast gold or something, and got into it. But
the previous Top Shot article where Andy was quoted is how he found it.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, it's funny.
Yeah.
But we should have MLB contests probably like tomorrow for those of you who enjoy MLB stuff. So if you ever played DraftKings salary cap contests and wanted to give it a run, it should be fun.
And you got an NBA Finals prediction?
Oh, yeah.
I think, I mean, not that this is, setting anything and saying anything crazy. I think the Celtics are going to win. Porzingis is supposed to play in game 1. I think it's really exciting to think that the Mavericks, are going to win and Luka and Kyrie are playing amazing, but I think the Celtics are just too deep and too good. But I think it'll be a good series. I think that Luka and Kyrie are too good to get blown out, but we'll see.
I'm pulling hard for the Mavs.
I'm definitely rooting for the Mavs.
I thought you were a Celtics. No, you're not a Celtics guy. Why? Wait, remind me why you're a Patriots guy, but not Celtics.
Yeah, I just am a Patriots fan because my dad is a Patriots fan. So I grew up in New Jersey, but just happened to grow up Patriots.
I just think it'd be nice if this city of Boston could kind of, win something for once. I think, morale around here has been pretty low lately.
Yeah, I'm sure. Brutal.
Yeah. Are any of you still in the dance? My team's got bounced.
No, I got slaughtered in the dance.
Yeah, I got bounced this last round with my last one. I did not have
what ended up being optimal, as far as your first 4 or 5. I assume you had to have Luka, you had to have Tatum, or no?
I haven't really followed. I'm not sure what the best teams are. And probably someone in the chat knows better than we do.
I would say Jaylen Brown. If you probably got Jaylen Brown and then another Celtic, and then in the drafts earlier on where the Mavs were not getting drafted super high, you probably were able to get Luka and Kyrie And I say like 2 Celtics and Luka Kyrie were the teams that probably crushed.
Yeah, you
Drew
probably had to
paired
have
with
PJ
some
Washington as
Pacers.
well,
Yeah.
because he put up some serious points.
I don't
You
know how
couldn't
you
have
have
had
live like
Porzingis because he
Gafford.
basically hasn't played at all.
Yeah, you
Mm.
probably had to have Brown paired with not Porzingis, which is
Yeah.
interesting because I think Brown and Porzingis were the ones that were really getting taken to that turn
Are
frequently.
any of the Celtics dust balls getting there?
I don't think so.
Yeah. So
Not
you
yet.
basically just needed
Probably
the
now.
alphas and then carry them. Although it'll be interesting to see which dust balls hit the starting lineup in this round.
Yeah,
For
they
sure. I
were.
mean, Horford probably hit some lineups because he had a couple pop-off games. But I think it's it's the Luka Kyrie teams that really crushed because you were getting those later on. You could probably just have some studs carry you for a ways, even if they flopped out.
All right, fellas, I have to run. This has been a good time here on the club. We'll continue to mix it up, checking out some of these other underdog game types here. Try to get these fired up on Tuesdays. Sometimes Clay and Andy join me on Mondays for Best Ball Breakfast. I actually think we're going to try to get our guy Jackie Pax back in the saddle next week. And I saw someone asking about Jennings too. We can reach out to him and see if he can swing by as well for old time's sake. But thank you guys for hanging out, and good luck in all of your drafts these days. For Andy and Clay, I'm Pete. This has been the